Shakyanangena Salakaya Sukshur Militanyena Tasma Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Mahavavinyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya-līlā, chapter 3, Lord Chaitanya at the house of Advaita Acharya. Text 102. Sri Advaita Acharya fed the two lords cloves and cardamom mixed with tulasi flower. Thus there was a good flavor within their mouth. Sri Advaita Acharya then smeared the bodies of the Lord with sandalwood pulp and then placed very fragrant flower garlands on their chests. That was the time that after Mahaprabhu Sanyas, that Lord Nityananda guided him to the house of Sri Advaita Acharya. And Sri Advaita Acharya gave opulent prasadam, but the Lord can eat a lot, right? So more and more prasadam was being served, and now this is the end of that. He is giving cardamom and what is it? Okay, to wash their mouth, and that was the end of the feast. When the Lord lay down on the bed, Advaita Acharya wanted to massage his legs, but the Lord was very hesitant and spoke as follows to Advaita Acharya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Advaita Acharya, you have made me dance in various ways. Now give up this practice, go with Mukunda and Haridas and accept your lunch. Thereupon, Advaita Acharya took prasadam with Mukunda and Haridas, and they all wholeheartedly ate as much as they desired. When the people of Shantimboy heard that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was staying there, they all immediately came to see his lotus feet. Being very pleased, all the people loudly began to shout the holy name of the Lord, Hari, Hari! Indeed, they became struck with wonder upon seeing the beauty of the Lord. They saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's very fair complexioned body and its bright luster, which conquered the brilliance of the sun. Over and above this was the beauty of the saffron garments that glittered upon his body. People came and went with great pleasure. There was no calculating how many people assembled there before the day was over. As soon as it was evening, Advaita Acharya began the congregational chanting. He even began to dance himself, and the Lord saw the performance. When Advaita Acharya began to dance, Nityananda Prabhu began dancing behind him. Haridas Thakur, being very pleased, also began dancing behind him. Advaita Acharya said, My dear friends, what shall I say? Today I have received the highest transcendental pleasure. After many, many days, Lord Krishna is in my house. Purport. This is a song composed by Vidyapati Sometimes the word Madhava is misunderstood to refer to Madhavendra Puri. Advaita Acharya was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and consequently some people think that he was referring to Madhavendra Puri by using the word Madhava, but actually this is not the fact. This song was composed and commemorate the separation of Krishna from Radharani during Krishna's absence in Mathura. This song was supposed to be sung by Srimati Radharani when Krishna returned. It is technically called Mathura Viraha. Advaita Acharya led the Sankirtan party, and with great pleasure he sang this verse. There was a manifestation of ecstatic perspiration, shivering, raised hair, tears in the eyes, and sometimes thundering and bellowing. While dancing, Advaita Acharya would sometimes turn around and catch the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then began to speak to him as follows. Sri Advaita Acharya would say, "Many days you escaped me by bluffing. Now I have you in my home, and I will keep you bound up." So speaking, Advaita Acharya performed congregational chanting with great pleasure for 3 hours that night, and danced all the time. When Advaita Acharya danced in that way, Lord Chaitanya felt ecstatic love for Krishna, and because of his separation, the waves and flames of love increased. Being agitated by the ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly fell on the ground. Seeing this, Advaita Acharya stopped dancing. When Mukunda saw the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he understood the feeling of the Lord and began to sing many stanzas, augmenting the force of the Lord's ecstasy. Advaita Acharya raised the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help him dance, but the Lord, after hearing the stanzas sung by Mukunda, could not be held due to his bodily symptoms. Tears fell from his eyes, and his whole body trembled. His hair stood on end. He perspired heavily, and his words faltered. Sometimes he stood, and sometimes he fell, and sometimes he cried. Mukunda sang, "My dear intimate friend, what has now happened to me? Due to the effects of the poison of love for Krishna, my body and mind have been severely afflicted." Purport. When Mukunda saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling ecstatic pain and manifesting ecstatic bodily symptoms, all due to feelings of separation from Krishna, he sang songs about meeting with Krishna. Advaita Acharya also stopped dancing. "My feeling is like this. My mind burns day and night, and I can get no rest. If there were some place I could go to meet Krishna, I would immediately fly there." This stanza was sung by Mukunda in a very sweet voice. But as soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this stanza, his mind went to pieces. The transcendental ecstatic symptoms, disappointment, moroseness, pleasure, restlessness, pride, and humility, all began to fight like soldiers within the mind. Purport. Harsa is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Harsa is experienced when one finally attains the desired goal of life and consequently becomes very glad. When harsha is present, the body shivers and one's hair stands on end. There are perspiration, tears, and an outburst of passion and madness. The mouth becomes swollen and one experiences inertia and illusion. When a person attains his desired object and feels very fortunate, the luster of his body increases. Because of his own qualities and feelings of greatness, he does not care for anyone else and this is called garva or pride. In this condition one utters prayers and does not reply to others' inquisitives. Seeing one's own body concealing one's desire and not heeding the words of others are symptoms visible in the ecstasy of garva. The entire body of Lord Chaitanya began to totter due to the onslaught of various ecstatic symptoms. As a result, he immediately fell on the ground and his breathing almost stopped. Upon seeing the condition of the Lord, all the devotees became very anxious. Then suddenly the Lord got up and began to make thundering sounds. Upon standing up, the Lord said, "Go on speaking, go on speaking." Thus he began to dance, overwhelmed with pleasure. No one could understand the strong waves of this ecstasy. Lord Nityananda began to walk with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see that he would not fall, and Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur followed them, dancing. In this way the Lord danced for at least 3 hours. Sometimes the symptoms of ecstasy were visible, including pleasure, moroseness, and many other waves of ecstatic emotional love. The Lord had been fasting for 3 days, and after that period he took eatables sumptuously. Thus when he danced and jumped high, he became a little fatigued. Being fully absorbed in love of Godhead, he would not understand his fatigue, but Nityananda Prabhu, catching him, stopped his dancing. Although the Lord was fatigued, Nityananda Prabhu kept him steady by holding him. At that time, Advaita Acharya suspended the chanting and by rendering various services to the Lord, made him lie down to take rest. For 10 continuous days, Advaita Acharya held feasting and chanting in the evening. He served the Lord in this way, without any change. In the morning, Chandrasekhara brought Sachi Mata from our house with many devotees, and he seated her in a palanquin. In this way, all the devotees of the town of Nadia, including all women, boys, and old men, came there. Thus the crowd increased. In the morning, after regular duties were completed and the Lord was chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the people accompanied Sachi Mata to the house of Advaita Acharya. As soon as Mother Sachi appeared on the scene, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell before her like a stick. Mother Sachi began to cry, taking the Lord on her lap. Upon seeing one another, they both became overwhelmed. Seeing the Lord's head without hair, Mother Sachi became greatly agitated. She began to smear the body of the Lord with kisses. Sometimes she kissed his face and tried to observe him carefully, but because her eyes were filled with tears, she could not see. Understanding that Lord Chaitanya had accepted the renounced order of life, Sachi Mata, crying, said to the Lord, "My darling Nimai, do not be cruel like Vishvarup, your elder brother." Mother Sachi continued, "After accepting the renounced order, Vishvarup never again gave me audience. If you do like this, that will certainly be the death of me." The Lord replied, "My dear mother, please hear. This body belongs to you. I do not possess anything. This body was raised by you, and it comes from you. I cannot repay this debt, even in millions of births. Knowingly or unknowingly, I have accepted this renounced order. Still, I shall never be indifferent to you. My dear mother, wherever you ask me to stay, I shall stay, and whatever your order, I shall execute." Saying this, the Lord offered obeisances to his mother again and again, and Mother Sachi, being pleased, took him again and again on her lap. Then Advaita Acharya took Mother Sachi within the house. The Lord was immediately ready to meet all the devotees. The Lord met all the devotees one after the other, and looking at everything's face individually, he embraced them tightly. Okay, we stop here for today. Jai, Sri Chaitanya, ecstatic Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki Jai. Madhya-līlā chapter 3, Lord Chaitanya at the house of Advaita Acharya ki Jai. And the author, Srila Kṛṣṇadāsa Kavirāja Gosvāmī Maharaj ki Jai. Jai, and the purpose by Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Then we're reading from The Loving Search for the Lost Servant by Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Gosvāmī Maharaj. Our Guardian's Eye. This is The Environment, chapter The Environment, page 22. Our Guardian's Eye. The environment is not dead. An overseer is there. Just as the sun is over our heads, every action is under our guardian's eye. This comparison is given in the Rig Veda. I read it yesterday, sorry. Okay. Enemy ego, real ego. The enemy ego and real ego. Here everything is but a reflection of the perfect world. Originally, everything is there, including all times of service. But here we have only a perverted reflection. Leaving this variegated world behind, we should not attempt to merge into non-consciousness so far that we won't be able to feel any pleasure or pain. At present, we are under the influence of our enemy ego. Real ego exists in the spiritual world. All experience is found there, but it is full of beauty and charm. Krishna consciousness means full-fledged theism. This means that we can have a relationship with the infinite up to concerthood. Everything that we need to help us and lead us in the right direction is really to be found in the spiritual world, in its purest and most desirable position. What we find here is only a shadow, a black imitation. But reality means full-fledged theism. Krishna consciousness, where the infinite embraces the whole finite. The infinite comes down to welcome, to fully embrace the finite. That is Vrindavan. And this is full-fledged theism. Through Krishna consciousness, one neglected part of the finite may experience the blissful embrace of the whole infinite. And in Vrindavan, not a corner is left neglected. Every grain of sand, every blade of grass is well represented there with personality. Here, what to speak of a particle of sand? So many things are insignificant. But in Vrindavan, everything is cared for. Nothing is ignored. That is full-fledged theism. This is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-5. Sukadeva Gosvāmī reveals something astounding to Parikshit Maharaj. When Krishna enters the forest of Vrindavan by the touch of the soles of his lotus feet, the earth feels the pleasure of his embrace, the personal embrace of the sweet Absolute. Vrindavananya Swapada Ramaman. This is inconceivable. By the touch of the holy feet of Krishna, the sand and the earth feel the pleasure of concerthood. Glorified by his cowherd friends, he enters the forest of Vrindavan, and the earth, the forest, and everything that comes in connection with him feels a higher, closer sense experience of pleasure to the happiest degree. Concerthood. In Vrindavan, the earth feels the mood of concerthood. So the Madhya-līlā of Krishna is so wonderful that even Brahma, the creator of the universe, said, "How can we understand you, my Lord? I know something about my Lord Narayan, who is near to me. He and I have some direct connection, so that I may discharge my official duties. But you have come within my circle, and I cannot understand you. What is this?" He tried his best to test Krishna by kidnapping his coward boyfriends and calves. But he was astounded to find that although I have removed them, everything is as it was before. Krishna is still surrounded by his grands and their calves, engaged in their pleasure pastimes. So he is infinite, even as the Lord of the universe. My interference could not disrupt anything under his control. By his own sweet will, he conducts his play. I tried to test him, but now I'm bewildered by his inconceivable potency. I could not understand that, although an apparently human coward boy, he is nonetheless the supreme most higher than even Lord Narayan. He pleaded with Krishna, "Now I have come to my senses. Please forgive me, my Lord." What use is a particle of our intelligence? How much can it be measured to the infinite? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, don't try to apply your brain to the infinite. The brain is not a unit for measurement in that plane. Your intellect is cancelled by the infinite. Try to measure it only by feeling, by taste, by heart. The brain will be your enemy. It will always deceive you in its measurement, and that will disturb you and limit your progress. Only faith can help us. Otherwise nothing can reach that plane. We can reach the sun or moon only with the help of advanced technology. We cannot reach out and touch it with our hand or with a long stick. In the same way, to connect with the highest reality, faith alone can help one. Faith is the most spacious medium, but even that is very meager in consideration of the high thing with which you would like to connect, the supreme cause of all causes. We are tiny souls. How much can we accommodate with our faith? How wide and how broad is our faith? How can we catch within our faith? What we are seeking is infinite, and we are very much afraid. Oh, if I rely on faith, something may go wrong. I may be deceived. But within our tiny hearts, how much faith can we contain? Only by analogy with the sky or the ocean may we understand anything about the infinite. But what is that in comparison? Nothing. And what is the infinite? That from which everything is coming, by which everything is maintained, and into which everything is ultimately entering. The all-comprehensive, all-permeating, all-controlling, all-attracting, all-feeling absolute. So everything is all right with the infinite and the environment. We have only to correct ourselves, to adjust ourselves. This is the conclusion. Try to adjust yourself. Everything is all right with the environment. We must leave everything to the Supreme Lord and conduct ourselves accordingly. What will bring us real peace and progressive realization in spiritual life? Then, this sloka. Neither existence nor consciousness are complete in themselves. Consciousness alone hankers for ecstasy, and existence without consciousness is to exist with no purpose. But when existence is endowed with consciousness, it can reach for its own good. Ecstasy. Very ecstatic reading this morning. Jai. Srila Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīla Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai. Loving search for the lost servant Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gurudev. Hari Yaraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Hari Yaraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Eka Govindaram Sri Madhusudam. Giridhari Govindaram. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Sri Kavirāja Sri Vasari Hare Jaya Sapaikara Sisi Guru Kuranga Sundar Radha Kavirāja Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakak Śrīdhar Gosvāmī Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nuka Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Sri Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Shapashada Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Shapashada Sri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Jai. Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Yamuna Chu Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta Ki Jai. Go-kartals Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees Ki Jai. All glories to the world devotees Ki Jai. Om Vishnupad Srila Gaura-Kishore Babaji Maharaj Tirubhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.